from where we're standing.
Hello. Hi. You see, kids, I wasn't gone that long, and I brought you the cigarettes, so cheer up a little bit. It's fine. My name is Ryan Laney, a.k.a. Ryan Frankenstein, a.k.a. Nexus, a.k.a. your mommy, a.k.a. your daddy, a.k.a. your baby brother, baby sister, etc., etc. You've heard the spiel before if you've watched this show. Welcome. My name is Ryan. This is our Frankenstein Cybernetic Séance podcast. What fucking episode are we on? I think we are episode 18. My God. Time sure does fly by when you kind of just stare into the lens of this camera and find the void. Anyway, I am here with God. Yep, it's just like always, guys. You put a camera in front of me, I forget how to speak. We have a really cool show for you guys tonight. We have no news in the Our Frankenstein camp right now, so that's awesome. So no news is good news, I think. But tonight's guest here is Luke Nightmare from the band Hollywood Nightmare. I don't have a sound machine, so let's just pretend there's an audience here. Woo! Yeah! Fuck yeah! What's up, Luke? How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, man. We were supposed to play a show together a while ago. I don't know if any of our viewers or listeners out there know of that show, but I think we were supposed to do a show with you. I can't remember if it was last year or early this year, but it was over in San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to look this up because what happened was we had a past band member who got sick, and let's just say that's not going to be a problem anymore. But I keep that ship tight. I'm going to look this up. Man, because I need to rack my memory here a little bit because that was a show I was kind of looking forward to. It was a little last minute. I think we originally hopped on because somebody hopped off. But my God, where is that flyer? Well, no, it's there. Yeah, it was supposed to be at the over the border nightclub. I think that was the show we were supposed to do, and we had some technical issues up there, so that unfortunately did not happen. But
Gotcha.
I hope you guys enjoyed the show at least.
I'm sure we did. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but
it's all good. So Luke, man, tell me a little bit about what you do. This is kind of our first conversation ever. So to those who are watching or listening, I have never spoken to this gentleman before, but man, tell me about you and what you do.
So I am in the band Hollywood Nightmare, obviously, and I am the drummer. Among many other things, the graphic designer, I'd just say manager in general.
For sure.
Shared with Scott Mick, our guitarist, we do a lot of the managing, but got to give him credit. But yeah, those are my roles pretty much in the band, and yeah, that's who I am.
So those who are listening or viewing right now who don't know, describe Hollywood Nightmare a little bit.
So Hollywood Nightmare is like your new metalcore style of music. We have a little bit of electronic in there, but it's definitely all hardcore metal stuff. We just about a year ago, our anniversary for our Inferno album just passed. We had released a album called Inferno, which was doing pretty good. So yeah, we're just like metalcore, trying to keep it fresh, trying to figure out a new sound. And in our new writing process, we're trying to branch out a little bit and do a couple different things when it comes to our sound. But
any of that stuff you can talk about right now?
I guess I'd say we're not scared to touch genres that you wouldn't normally think a metal band would touch. Like we're kind of experimenting. We're doing like super brutal, and we're doing some completely opposite stuff and just playing with it, I guess.
Okay, cool. And none of
Hmm.
that stuff's released yet.
Not yet.
Okay, well, a little something
Yeah,
something to look forward to.
yeah, for sure.
Folks who are viewing the show right now, if you see me awkwardly look in the other direction here, like this, like so, that is only because my monitor's here, and I can't have it float in front of me in the screen. When did you guys start? Were you an original member in the band?
Pretty much. It started officially when the full lineup was put together was in 2018, I believe. 2018 to 2019. Um, but Scott, the guitarist, and I think our original vocalist, whose name was Marcus, were kind of the OG two guys. They met at Musicians Institute, and they're like, "Oh, let's start a band." And then after that, they're like, "Okay, the lineup would be." They found a bassist, which was Kyle. He was originally the bassist, but now he's our vocalist. And then our previous guitarist Logan, and then me. So of the original lineup, yeah, I'm OG, and then yeah, obviously we've had quite a few switch ups and changes, and now our the bassist Kyle is now our vocalist. Um, but yeah, 2018 to 2019 was when Hollywood Nightmare was officially in the books.
Okay, so how did that process go from bassist to vocalist for your guy? Like, was that a challenge he had to take on his own, or was that just something that happened organically?
So Kyle was our bassist, the bassist back then. He was backup vocals, so he kind of already knew all the songs. He can sing already as is, and then Marcus, the vocalist back then, um, things came up in life. He had to do his own thing, and he just went up to Kyle and was like, "Yeah, well, you're obviously would be the next guy to take up the position. I would love you to do it." And Kyle's like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And so he switched
Cool.
over from bassist to frontman, and then just had to find another bassist.
Yeah, well, I would say that's pretty organic. I was. It's funny because I was always the bass player, before I became the singer. So I hear that and I'm like, ah, yes, bass player in the front lines there on the spotlight. So that
Yeah,
that's always a good thing to hear. Was so when you guys started, you said 2018, 2019?
yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay. Was it a challenge for you guys to keep the steam rolling when COVID came around around a couple of years after that?
Oh yeah, we had. It was kind of unfortunate because we had some gnarly shows lined up, and we were on some big festivals. Um, and we were supposed to go on tour also in Canada with this other band, and so all of our opportunities were kind of like growing and things were getting better. And then, you know, COVID came around, and that like killed all of our momentum that we had, and which was unfortunate because it was looking pretty good. And so,
Yeah.
but just had to pick it all back up now.
That's good. Did you guys get back into doing shows pretty shortly after a lot of the bans were lifted?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in terms of like when the bans were officially lifted, but as soon as we were able to play shows, we were hopping on them and doing it.
Yeah, it was pretty similar for us. We released on our first ever album in 2020 in February, and then immediately after, I think it was pretty much like early March, everything started locking down and things were no
Mm,
shows and all that. So we were in a pretty similar position where we had a couple tours lined up, some big shows with some friends, and that whole shebang. And a lot of that came plummeting down, which I was told when we first released this album, or when we were first writing our album, that I was like, maybe you shouldn't make it a whole concept record. You never know, something might not, pan out. And I was like, fuck it, I don't care. I'm gonna do my concept record, and then everything went away. So that was that. So I feel you guys there. It's a bit of a bitter taste, I guess.
Yeah.
So when you guys first got started, what were some of the influences you guys had in the beginning?
Well, mine personally, where I leaned more towards the heavier stuff. I liked Of Mice and Men being one of the lighter ones, all the way to like Chelsea Grin, all the OG metalcore bands that
Sure, yeah.
paved the way, Warped Tour bands. Bring Me the Horizon, and Asking Alexandria. And then we had like Scott, the guitarist, like Linkin Park, so that type of scene and genre is what was really our main influence.
So would you say new metal is influenced in your music at all, since you mentioned Linkin Park?
I think not like the NU metal, but like the NEW metal, like the new metal.
I feel you. Okay.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
What were some bands that, like, I guess outside of Hollywood Nightmare, that kind of like got you into music in the first place?
That
might have been a loaded question. I apologize.
No, all good. Well, Of Mice and Men was for me. Like, I listened to them, and that's what made me want to get into a band, if that's what you're asking. And so yeah, they were one of out of all the influences, I'd say them and Asking Alexandria were my two main influences. I was like, yeah, playing music is what I want to do. So I did. But
fuck yeah, man. Those are good bands. You mentioned you mentioned Chelsea Grin earlier, and I gotta say, you had me go through some flashbacks just now because I got to see them. I never got to see them at Warped Tour, although I wish I did, but I did see them, and it was the first time I ever actually heard of them. Because to be fair, I came from more of the industrial side of things, but I'm trying to remember the year. I want to say it's 2012. Motionless in White did their infamous tour, and they played over at Soma in San Diego. And originally I was just going for Motionless in White and the opening band called The Witch Was Right, but then I was exposed to Chelsea Grin that show. And they came out in all white, and I'll have to say, hands down, they were the scariest band that night compared to all the bands wearing makeup and black and shit. Those guys did it way more evil.
That's cool.
Since then, I became a pretty diehard fan. Yeah. No, nice. I fucking love that band. Shit. I want to play one of your songs right now. I was going to say, tell me about it, but I feel like we can get into that after I play it. So for anyone out there who has not ever listened to Hollywood Nightmare before, we're about to play one of their songs. If my stream wants to work like a normal stream, that would be awesome. La la la. Okay, this song is called The Rain. We are going to rock that shit right now. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in or just tuned in recently, this is The Rain from Hollywood Nightmare. Enjoy.
Drifting away. So cold when you're
no direction and nowhere left to go. I look into your eyes and I see pain. You look the other way, and now your faith is dropping like a sinking ship. No need to hide your face, but what I've got to say is, please keep breathing for me. I know that time will heal your scars, you just wait and see. I know you're carrying the weight of the world and it's far to ever. Just know that you're not alone, I'll be there by your side if you need anything. And now your faith is dropping like a sinking ship. No need to hide your face, but what I've got to say is, please keep breathing for me. I know that time will heal your scars, you just wait and
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to or viewing the Cybernetic Séance podcast. I'm your host, Ryan. I am here with Luke from Hollywood Nightmare, and you were just listening to The Rain from Hollywood Nightmare. And that was a pretty heavy in more ways than one, I'll have to say. A little less serious note, and then I'll get back into the serious shit. The first thing I noticed in the music video was your guys' guitar player. He was wearing one of those, what are the Junji Ito t-shirts, and I saw that right off the bat, and I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's that meme where it's like dudes will just see this blank image here and think, hell yeah. That was my thought right now when I was watching that. But man, that was pretty serious. I feel like a lot of people could understand what that video is about, but if there's more thematic elements, I would love for you to go more into detail about the video and the concept behind it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so pretty much it's kind of bringing attention to bullying and more specifically like people with alopecia. Our vocalist Kyle, his sister has alopecia, and she's been, through it, and so have a lot of people, and so we just wanted to bring attention to it and people that struggle with suicide as well, and because of bullying and all of that just stuff all together. And his sister also went through a suicide attempt, and Kyle, she she went to Kyle and said, "Hey, I took all these pills. I think something bad's happening. I don't know what to do." And he was like, "Oh, we got to go to the hospital, blah blah blah." So that whole scene where she's like ODing on pills was from what really happened. And so anyways, we just wanted to like bring light to that whole thing. Um and it was fun to make, because I like doing a lot of storyline in music videos, so um it was definitely fun.
Yeah, it's definitely something to follow as opposed to just the regular performance-based videos, which there's nothing wrong with, of course, But no, it's really cool when there's a theme and something uh, important that you can get from it. I will, yeah, because like I hadn't seen the video prior to this morning when I watched it. And I noticed the first thing that happened when I clicked on it was that YouTube gave me a warning for the
Oh
thematic
yeah.
elements of suicide and stuff. And I was like, "Oof, all right, these guys are really going to say something here. Let's see it." And I watched it. And I was like, "Oh, pretty
Yeah,
heavy."
and it's spelled the rain the way it is because it's after his sister's whole situation, and his sister's name is Maddie Rain, and
Oh,
then their last name, so that's why it's not spelled like the
yeah,
rainfall. It's
it's a nice little
the
tribute
rain.
then. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
done very tastefully. What was the production like for that video?
It was, well, we went with Frankie. I forget his last name, but he's good at what he does. Like he knows how to do it. So I would always recommend him. Um but
Shout out Frankie.
yeah, shout out Frankie. Um we pretty much just kind of thought of the concept and everything, and I took it a little further because I have a degree in doing all that type of stuff, so I kind of set up this whole like shot list for him and what exactly we wanted, and then he he just takes it from there, and he figures out what the locations are, or he asks us what locations we do want, and we let him know. But yeah, so we picked a rain room, and then we picked a couple different um like in the LA area they have all those studios where they have like that pool and a whole bunch of other things. And
Was it fucking Peer Space? Did you guys go
I,
through that
I'm
platform?
yeah, yeah,
That's how I find all the good spots as well. So I feel you. That's the shit. All about Peer
yeah.
Space.
In that
Yeah.
rain room, at the end of every take, there's like this one little sprinkler that was just shooting water directly in my face. So you're just trying to like, keep the face serious and everything, but like halfway slash to the end of the take, you're like trying to spit all the water out of your mouth, and you're like, all right, but it was fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because this is probably a dumb question, but it's like, how do bands? Okay, how do I phrase this without sounding strange? How do bands shoot these videos while wet? Like, this is probably sounds like a very dumb question, but does that affect your instruments or anything, or how do you prepare your instruments for the wet scene? That just didn't sound right, but you get
Yeah,
what I mean.
no, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not like super famous or with a ton of money, so it was kind of a big deal for me because I was like, oh shoot, I need to completely soak my one of my kits. And luckily I have three. One
Okay.
from when I was like really young, and then the one that I play live, and then this other like one that somebody gave me that's kind of trash. But anyways, so I was like, okay, I'll use the kit that I had from when I was like a kid. And then for my hardware, I wrapped that with like cellophane or something, some like plastic wrap pretty much, but like that big stuff that you wrap luggage with.
Mhm.
So I did that, and then I got some really old cymbals that I don't use anymore that were cracked, and I put those on. And if you look really closely, you can catch like the cymbals that I'm using aren't, they're all janky, but yeah, it was throwaway gear.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. Do you
Mhm.
how do the guitar players prepare for something like that?
Uh, Pretty much the same thing. That guitar that Scott was using was like $100 crap guitar that he was gonna just get rid of afterwards. Um,
Yeah.
and for the bass, I'm not too sure. I forget what he did, but I'm sure something similar.
Okay, okay. Because I've always seen that, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with Motionless in White, but they have that video for their song "Devil's Night," and it is just pouring rain in the video. And I'm watching this. I'm like, yeah, they're definitely sponsored by several different companies, because no one's gonna take their prized possession or their fucking guitar or whatever and just soak that, And I mean,
Yeah,
as a singer, I have it a little easier, admittedly. All I got to do is just bring myself. So
yeah.
I'll, that's always something I've always been curious about. So you guys have been playing a lot lately. Uh, and I don't want to explain it entirely, but I see that you guys have a run coming up, tour.
Yes, we do. It is called the Inferno Tour.
Tell me about that a little bit.
Um, so pretty much we are trying to venture out of the LA music scene because of the fact that it is so saturated, and it's hard to gain any
Yes.
traction, or because you're like, there's everyone's doing it, so you doing it isn't anything different. So we've done a run before, and people just know about it. We're in like this little town. They're like, oh my gosh, you guys are the bands coming through, and there's just more
Yeah.
buzz about it, and it just works more. So we're like, yeah, let's try to focus more on doing some shorter runs more often. So that's what we're doing. We did one not too long ago, and this is our next one coming up, October 3rd or the 4th,
Okay.
for like a week long about.
Okay. Do you know how many shows off the top of your head?
I actually can pull up the flyer.
Oh yeah, read off those dates if you don't mind, because if we have anybody out here that likes what they heard from you, go to the
Yeah.
show, folks. Go to the show.
So on the 4th with Navajo Live, we're gonna be in San Diego. Uh, on the 5th, Las Vegas, Nevada. On the 6th, at the 44 in Glendale, Arizona. On the 7th, it's to be determined. On the 9th, we have Wild Goose Saloon in Denver, Colorado. On the 10th, Beehive in Salt Lake City, Utah. 11th and 12th are still in the works.
Okay.
And the 14th is back in LA at the Viper Room. We're just circling back.
Ooh, that's gonna be a good show. Have you guys done the
Yes,
Viper Room before?
yes, we have. Actually, I think we have. If we have, it was a long
Okay.
time ago, but I'm pretty sure we have. But
I've
yeah,
only
we have
gotten to play
tickets for
the.
those.
Oh fuck
Go
yeah!
ahead.
No, I apologize. Well, I've only gotten to play at the Viper Room once, and it was a really cool experience. But I keep hearing that it's closing down, but as far as I know, I haven't seen any date or any information on when it's actually supposed to close, if that's still a thing.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know too much about that. I heard someone saying that though, that they were thinking it was supposed to close or something, and you know, I don't know, because I
Maybe.
think they're doing pretty good. They're popular. Everyone goes there. It's always crowded. So
Yeah, no, every time I go there, it's the same thing. So that's where I'm just kind of scratching my head. I saw a couple articles once, and then after that, just nothing else about it. So I'm kind of like, are they
mm,
closing? And I would like for them not to, because I've only gotten to play there once, and it was a really good experience, and I would definitely like to come back there again at some point soon.
mm, yeah.
Yeah. So for this run, do you guys plan on playing The Rain or any other specific songs that you guys like?
Yeah, the rain. I mean, I think we'd probably have like 2 set lists that will either alternate or do a couple. But yeah, the rain is one of the ones we normally play. I think it's pretty much all from our new album, The Inferno, with the exceptions of like Thorns, because that's like
Okay.
you know a good one for the crowds, and then Biohazard, because that's like our more everyone likes to mosh on that one, so we still bring that one around.
That one I
Um,
listened to earlier as well, and I actually really enjoyed that one.
thank you, thank you.
I was forgetting the name until you said it, so I was like, yes, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, but Thorns we play completely different than what it is on the track, because me with my influence of brutal music, I was like, hey, on this breakdown, we should like completely add this second breakdown that's slower and heavier. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And then I was like, and then we should add another breakdown after that that's even slower and heavier. So they're like, all right, let's try it. And we were in the studio practicing and we did it and we went hard and then we went harder and it was great. So you guys should come, whoever's listening, come check it out because it's fun.
That's awesome. Do you have like a particular show that's stands out to you? Like it was the most crazy show, you guys had like the best crowd reaction, or maybe some weird shit happened? Do you guys have any like highlights?
We at the Santa Ana amphitheater. So some amphitheater, I forget where exactly it was. But that one venue that's in the amphitheater somewhere around here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The venue escapes my mind. But that one was
Okay.
with Escape the Fate, and that one was completely sold out. Garden Amphitheater. That's what it is. There we go.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've never been there, but I've seen a lot of bands come through there, and I've seen a lot of like videos there. Are they the ones that have the? It's like almost like a school locker room set up, like as the background. That might be one of their smaller stages. I think they have 2 stages. I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
yes, they have 2 stages. They have an
Oh,
indoor stage and then they have an outdoor stage. Um,
that's right.
but yeah, it was great. It was like fully packed, sold out, and then I'd say another one is one of our whiskey shows that was also sold out and packed. Um, and it's just great when there's more people because we like to interact with the crowd, and it's harder to do that when there's so few people because people just stand around and kind of don't want to interact. But the more people there is, there's always going to be that one guy that's interacting, and then he makes other people want to interact. And
Is the
so,
fire, the little flame that starts the wildfire, I suppose. There's always got to be that one guy.
exactly.
We did whiskey. It was a couple years back. It was before the pandemic. We were opening for Mr. Tim Scold, and I had never ever seen anyone mosh at a Tim Scold show, but we came out there, and when we're opening up for, and I'm sure you guys know how it is when you're opening up for someone a little bigger. Usually the crowd has no idea who you are, and to be fair, a lot of the times they just don't give a fuck. But for some reason, that particular night, either there was just enough drunk people in that mosh pit, or something. But we had our very first wall of death, and I know that might not seem like a big deal to a lot of people. For us, being a more theatrical type band where people just kind of stand and watch us, that was awesome. That was probably one of the coolest things to see. And
That's
that was.
awesome.
Who did you guys play with at the whiskey?
We've played there too many times,
Sure.
but we played there with the. I don't remember if that time was Escape the Fate or Attila. It was one of
Oh.
those two. We've played with Escape the Fate quite a few freaking times, but yeah, it was either them or Attila.
Fuck yeah. I love Attila. I actually have not heard that band in a long time. It's been a hot minute since I've listened to anything from them.
Freaking the vocalist is running for president or something. I
I'm
don't know if
sorry.
it's him like messing around, but
Is
on
he
his
doing some
Instagram,
Kid Rock shit?
I mean, he's his whole thing is like clearly actual politicians aren't working out, so let's try something different type of a thing, you know?
Franz, you've got my vote. Fuck it.
I mean, he's a business guy and I don't know, so
He
it's
seems
interesting.
pretty successful. So maybe I'll take a gander. I'm sure this will piss somebody off somewhere, but I normally don't vote. So I like politics is not my thing. But if Franz is running, shit. Maybe I'll vote. Maybe
Maybe
this will be
the
the first
music
time.
scene will become a little better.
Yeah. I'll get that front. I'm sure Franz for President shirts are going to be coming very soon because he still does all that. Like, was it Stay Sick, right? I think that was the brand he had going. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've been looked into the whole Attila stuff, but him being
But he has a clothing line, yeah. That'll
I'm
probably
that's
be one of his
inevitable.
new releases. Yeah.
Should be. I don't know if it's got a nice picture of his face on it. I would like to get a shirt with Franz's face from back when he was on what was that show on MTV? He was on this show years ago where they make someone cool. I can't remember the name of this show, and I'm sure if I look it up right now, I'm going to create some dead air. But I'm going to do it. I'm not sure if you have ever seen it, but he was on this MTV show years ago. Before Attila was ever really. Oh yeah, it was MTV's Made, and it was back when Attila was like a backyard band, and fucking they were trying to make him look cool because I guess back then he was a little rough looking. Not judging, of course, but that's something I'll have to just send you an email of later on if you haven't seen it because it's pretty funny.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
So, what is like? As I know, I already asked you about the specific show, but do you have a highlight like a specific tour moment? It could be a show, or it could be something that's happened on the road. Is there like a specific moment that stood out to you the most?
Well, we've had a bunch. I'd say a big one was one time we went to Yucca Valley to play a private show.
Oh my God. What was the name of this venue? Because as far as I know, there's only like one venue in Yucca Valley, and I used to play there. Oh,
Well,
man.
that's the thing. We showed up and there was no venue because we're in the middle of nowhere with dirt and shrubs for as far as I can see, and
That's
the
Yucca.
Google Maps is saying like, "Oh, you're like 5 minutes away," and we're like, "What?" And then we pull up, and there's like this little gas station, this little pizza place where you can go get pizza, but then it was just like this stage out in the middle of the dirt, and it had like a hole in the ground, and you could sit in that hole, and in that hole there's like a fire pit, so it was like this chill out place with a stage. So anyways, none of the equipment worked. By the end of the show, we didn't play anything because the whole time they're like, "Oh, well, we know a guy that can bring an amp, this and that and the other," and we're
Why
waiting
isn't the
there.
amp here?
Exactly. The whole time, there's like a keg on the stage. People were just filling up their beer cans and their beer cups and drinking, and they promised us transportation back. And this was like a long time ago. Not a lot of us had cars.
Okay.
So we Ubered there. And then the transportation there was like this old limo that did not look like it could run. And we're like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. They're like, yeah, well that's gonna be your guys' transportation. So the Uber driver that brought us there was luckily nice enough to be like, hey, I'm gonna hang out around here in case you guys need a ride back because you're not finding any other Uber drivers around here.
What a
So
homie.
she did, and And by the end of it, we didn't play. We're like, hey, okay, we gotta leave. Like, this isn't gonna happen. But we still need to get paid because we came all the way out here, brought out all our gear. Like, it wasn't on us that we couldn't perform. And they got super like pissed. They're like, well, you guys didn't play. We can't give you guys the money. And anyways, our vocalist ended up taking them and be like, yeah, well, like, we deserve the money. And the guy started chasing him.
Whoo.
And he starts beelining it to the car that we're all piling in and finishing up, loading up. And he's like, yo, we got to get the heck out of here because these guys are pissed and they're going to come and chase after us drunk with a bunch of beer. And so the Uber driver beelined it out of there. And yeah, it was like a not super great situation to be in, but it was
Oh.
definitely one that stood out.
Well, that definitely doesn't sound like the venue that I played at for sure. But I remember now, it was called Gaddy's Bar and Grill, and they were a pretty good place. But that aside, yeah, that's pretty scary. That's not an ideal situation anyone would want to be in. And the fact that they couldn't quite understand that you couldn't play because none of the equipment worked is just unacceptable.
Yeah. The drum riser was also on like these little, like, here's a stage, and then you had like these four, they weren't even 2x4s or something. There was something that's like 2x4 type of pieces of wood going up in the air with another plank of wood. And they're like, yeah, just climb up there and set up your kit. So, it's kind of like rickety and whatnot. And I mean, I did it and it was fine. And, I was just jamming up there waiting for everyone to like find the right cable to grab the right speaker. And
yeah,
so.
Man, that does not sound fun. I mean, thank goodness the little plank of wood that you were, on top of didn't like break or anything like that. That would not be fortunate for your equipment.
Yeah, no, not so much.
No way, man. We had a almost similar situation years ago in Pomona. I will not say the name of the venue, but let's just say they had a stage that was basically broken in half. It was like a wooden stage. It was broken in half, and the drummer would have to put his kit on, and if he's using double kick, he's affecting the weight of the stage. So it's going like this, with like if he's doing his hi-hats or his double kick, the stage is going like this the whole time. Like you feel like you're on a rickety boat. I was, I'm singing and I'm a pretty active guy when I'm up there. And I'm, if I'm standing stage left, stage right's starting to go up. If I'm standing stage right, it felt like I was on like a boat. It was not good. And it was a similar thing where, we're a band that uses a lot of backing tracks. Ooh, sue me. And, they couldn't accommodate for that. They're like, oh, well, we can't, our mixer won't fit your laptop or your whatever we use. I was just like, oh, we're not going to be able to play. They're like, well, can you play without the backtracks? I'm like, no, that's not how that, so it was a bit of a complicated night, I could say. There's details after detail after. So I'm sure you guys know how it is dealing with certain places or people that aren't necessarily accommodating for a live show.
Yeah, absolutely.
So since I am about this whole horror thing, do you or any of the guys in the band watch horror movies or are into that stuff?
Every once in a while. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily into it, but I could definitely appreciate it, and I've seen a decent amount of the horror. But I wouldn't say, well, I don't know exactly if the other guys are into it, but what I do know that they are into is more like anime stuff. That's like my guitarist and my vocalist kind of are all into that.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say anime is pretty sick. I used to go to like Anime Expo in LA for years and years, and until I started like touring mainly in the summer, I just haven't been able to go back or or do any of that stuff. So shit's expensive. But what I was gonna ask was, do you in particular have a horror movie that you enjoy the most?
Oh man.
Or maybe something
Oh boy.
spooky.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of all the ones I've seen. Man, I know I've seen some good ones. I have a buddy that like, oh, you want to see an actual scary movie? Here, check this one out. And I
Puts on a Serbian
Except-
film. Just kidding.
what?
I'll always have like a friend that'll always be like, you want to see something really scary, and they'll put on this film, and he'll do this as like a party trick for like girls and stuff. And this is how you, ladies and gentlemen, this is how you get girls to not have sex with you. He'll you know, we'll be sitting in a room. He'll be like, oh, who wants to watch a scary movie? And everyone will raise their hand or whatever. And he'll be like, you want to see something really scary? And he'll put on this film called a Serbian film. And to those who are listening who know, yeah, it's not a movie you want to put in front of girls or guys or anyone in order to impress them. It's a very think Human Centipede, and now up that maybe a good dosage.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's a little grimy, it's a little dirty, so not a sexy movie, that's for sure. But I'm sorry, I cut you off there. You had a buddy that would put on some really good horror movies.
No, yeah, he's just a good person to go to, that he like somehow he's just seen so many movies and he's like, oh, that's a good one. You want to watch that one? Oh, don't even waste your time on that one. Like, you know, so I don't know. He said like when he was younger, he like didn't have a life and that's all he did was just watch movie after movie after movie. So, but
I gotta meet this guy. Sounds like me. Yeah. Well, do you? I guess my next question would be: do you have like a genre of film you do like, or is film something? Oh no, you mentioned you went to school for some film related stuff. If I'm not wrong, there.
So yeah, not film exactly, but graphic design and in that I did a lot of videography and things like that, which so that's how the whole film and stuff got incorporated. But yeah, as far as favorite genre, type of movie, I like a good action movie, you know, like a well done one, like the Bourne ones where like you can tell, because I was a stuntman before I did music, and so like the Bourne movies,
okay.
Taken with Liam Neeson, you know, like those hardcore, like actual well choreographed fight scene type of movies. I like those. Yeah.
Do you like any of the subsequent Taken films, or was it just the original one your favorite?
They're all pretty good, yeah, but
Yeah.
I definitely, I think I like the first one the most.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
so what would be your favorite
movie of those? I'd probably say the Bourne movies are up there.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, in general, I'm not a really big movie guy, so, but you know, when I do get time to watch movies and you know do that, you know, that's why I'm not fully knowledgeable in all the
Movie
different
nuances.
movies. Yeah, movie nuances.
I feel you. I mean, I love movies. I just, you know, I'm sure you know, with life, work, music, all that stuff, you know, it's really hard to find time to sit down for like an hour and a half, 2 hour plus movie, you know, because I love those long ones. I love like Lord of the Rings, or you know, movies that are typically that push that 3 hour mark a little bit, because it's just, yeah. It's bad because I'll just fall asleep now. I can't even turn anything on. I've become my father. I just as soon as the TV comes on. But Similarly or not, I guess I do the same thing. I never went to school for graphic design, but I studied it a little bit when I was in high school. I was part of an animation program, and through that we would do like computer animation, computer graphics, and I just had some very surface level knowledge on like video editing and computer graphics. But from there, I've kind of taken that into my music and art now, and I do all the graphics and like reels and all, pretty much all the media that comes from our Frankenstein. It's it's all done by me. So I'm kind of I'm kind of similar to you in that way, where it's like I'm the guy who does all the media as well. So it's I don't know.
Nice.
It's fun. I like doing it.
But it's just another thing on the plate, though.
It is, because
Yeah.
I shot some stuff for my Patreon. It took me a couple hours to do it, and I was like, oh, it's finally over. And then I sat down and realized, no, it's not. I still have to fucking edit it, and that's the hard part.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I kind of get a kick out of doing it. It's enjoyable. It's like painting or drawing. It kind of takes me out of my head a little bit, and
That's good.
yeah, it's good shit. So
Yeah.
so did you you mentioned you went to MI, or was it just some of the members of the band that were at MI?
Yeah, I never went. Scott went, Kyle went, and that's it. I mean, a
Okay.
couple of the other members that aren't in it anymore, they
Sure.
were also at MI.
Yeah, that's dope. I had a couple of friends that went there, and I've heard really good things about the school. I always wanted to go, but just never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should be like that, though. Well, we
Yeah.
are reaching the end of the show, man. And I got to say, thank you for coming on, bro. Before I say my goodbyes to everyone out there, I want you to plug yourself, not literally, but plug yourself, the band, and some of this date. I know you talked about the dates earlier, but yeah, just tell us what you got going on for those who've tuned in a little later.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm Luke Nightmare from a band called Hollywood Nightmare, and you can find us anywhere you listen to music, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, Hollywood Nightmare Official, website hollywoodnightmareofficial.com, and Instagram, Facebook. We will be going on a short run, and the show on the 14th at the Viper Room will be our last show of the run in LA. So if you guys want to come out and check that out, we have tickets, and yeah, we'll hope to see you there.
Yeah, if you can, send me a link to the tickets, and I'll be putting it right here in the description for the video for those who are interested to go. Just click this
Sounds
link
good.
below. Yeah, man. No, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm hoping that someday that we can do a show together. So at some point, that would be really cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
No, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. No, you guys rock, man. You guys are fucking awesome. Hollywood Nightmare. Check them out on their tour. What's the name of that tour again, man?
The Inferno Tour.
The Inferno Tour. Check them out next month, starting October 4th. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
October 4th.
Okay. I have a terrible short-term memory, so I'm just like, I got this right. I'm gonna own that. All right. Thank you, Luke.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming on this show. Once again, this is the Cybernetic Séance podcast. I'm Ryan. I'm not going to say all the nicknames again because that's a headache. Thank you, guys. This was episode 18, and I'm not going to say we're going to be back next week because I don't want to seem like a father who lies to his children. So, you guys, thank you Thank you so much. And we are out. We are out. Have a good one.